Bernie Sanders made big waves in the 2016 election, leading his campaign with promises like this.
Not a fan of the banks. They trample on the middle class. They control Washington. And why do they chain all their pens to the desks? Who's trying to steal a pen from a bank?
It's my bad. The way that wasn't the right video. That was actually Larry David on Saturday Night Live. Let's try that again.
And that idea is to make public colleges and universities tuition-free for every person in New York State, in Vermont, and in America. I am fighting to break up the large banks on Wall Street. As soon as we defeat this disastrous bill, I will be introducing a Medicare for all single-payer program.
But Jan Svidovsky says those promises are fake, and all Bernie did was steal votes away from Hillary. So he's challenging Sanders for his Senate seat and joins me now. Okay, Jan, I just want to lead with the news here. Bernie's wife under FBI investigation. If found guilty, do you think she deserves to go to jail, or do you think they're getting special treatment?
Oh, no, I don't think they're getting special treatment. The FBI is investigating, and whether or not she goes to jail, it's not something that I could say or would have the right opinion. I think it depends upon the degree of guilt and what was done, and if in fact it is true that she defrauded, or the banks were defrauded, or she made promises which or statements which weren't true. But that's something that that prosecutors would have to decide, and I trust that they're doing their job.
Okay, maybe that's why Bernie said he didn't care about Hillary's emails, because he knew he was on shaky legal ground himself. But that's just speculation. I just want to move on. You're running against Bernie Sanders because you say he's a phony. Why is Bernie a phony?
Well, I'm not sure that's the central word I'd use, although something perhaps close to it. I was listening to the clip that you said, and when he said he was fighting for to break up the banks, and yet when I read the Daily News interview and they asked him about that and how he was going to do that, and he said I really don't know. I haven't looked at that. And when he talks about single payer, it's a great idea. I'd like to promise free health care, free prescriptions, free tuition, and maybe free cars. But if I don't have a plan, if I'm not really working to enact those things, then what good are they? It's just rhetoric. And
you know what I don't understand, because I've been to Vermont many times, and it's such a beautiful state, and the people are normal and they're fantastic, and then they elect some socialist like Bernie who's got these crazy ideas. What's going on in Vermont?
Well, Vermont's a wonderful state, and the people are wonderful and intelligent. And I think what it is I think Bernie represents an ideal, and it's an ideal. The rhetoric is wonderful.
An expensive ideal.
Yeah, but it's an ideal. I don't think people really support Bernie Sanders. Most people who know Bernie or have tried to work with him have been put off by his arrogance and his superiority and his unwillingness to work with other people.
Why do you think Bernie's so arrogant?
Well, first I want to say, I think what he represents to people is someone who's willing to stand up and speak the truth to power, and someone who cares about the little man. That's what he represents, and that's what I think is not true at all.
You're saying Bernie doesn't really represent the little man?
No, I don't believe he does. He has wonderful rhetoric that would help the little man, perhaps, but he's not doing anything. He hasn't enacted any of these plans. Right. He hasn't given plans and how he's going to do it and really help you. When I talked about caring for the homeless, it's not just, hey, the homeless ought to be cared for. I've started 5 homeless shelters, and it's what you do that matters so much more than what you say.
Well, it looks like you may be coming up in the polls. Bernie might be feeling the burn, and good luck up there in Vermont. Thank you very much, Jan.
Jesse, thank you.
All right, we asked Bernie Sanders to join us on Water's World, but we never heard back. President Trump back in France this week, celebrating Bastille Day in Paris. So Water's World hits the beach to see what Americans know about our French history. Who did America fight in World War I?
The French.
They were on our side.